You need to put your life in order. Don't wait until January to begin, or until next Monday. The only moment you have power over is now. In this video, you'll understand how small daily decisions can completely reorganize your inner world. You don't need grand leaps, just the courage to take control of your mind, your words, and your attitudes. That's what makes you capable of transforming everything around you. The Stoics knew this over 2,000 years ago. It's not destiny that changes first, it's the mind. When the mind becomes ordered, life begins to align. When you act with discipline, chaos loses its strength. From now on, you're going to discover the power of placing every part of your life exactly where it belongs: your mind, your emotions, your words, and your purpose. Each lesson is a step toward rebuilding your foundation, reclaiming your focus, and living with greater presence, clarity, and direction. So make this hour your turning point, because nothing truly changes until you decide to change. Let's begin. 1. One thing at a time. Your mind wants everything at once. To solve it all, fix it all, understand it all, control it all. And precisely because of that, it gets lost. When you try to embrace the whole world in one instant, you end up letting everything fall apart. Disorder isn't out there. It's inside. It arises from haste, pressure, and constant comparison with what hasn't yet become real. But the truth is simple. You don't need to do everything today. You only need to do what's within reach, right here, right now, with presence, attention, and honesty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate on each minute, as a Roman, doing what lies before you with seriousness, precision, justice." He wasn't speaking of perfection, he was speaking of focus. Because true power isn't in doing more. It's in doing one thing at a time, but doing it fully. Think about how often you felt paralyzed, trying to fix every problem simultaneously. Your mind races, your chest tightens, and you feel like life is too vast to hold. But the secret lies exactly here. Let go of control and return to what is small, what is possible. Life is a mosaic. Each action is a piece. You don't need to see the final image to place the next tile correctly. That's how chaos turns into direction. Confusion is born of urgency. Clarity is born of presence. And when you stop trying to resolve everything at once, you finally begin to resolve something real. The Stoics believed a focused mind is invincible because it does what must be done without getting lost in assumptions. And that is true strength, the power to be complete in a single act. So the next time fear paralyzes you, breathe deeply and say to yourself, "I only need to take the next step." Then take it, not the perfect step, but the possible one. Because this is how great transformation happens, through small movements, repeated so many times they eventually become destiny. Write in the comments, "I focus on what I can do now," because whoever learns to act with presence discovers a power the modern world has forgotten. The ability to transform the impossible, one step at a time. 2. A day without complaining. Try spending just one day without complaining. It sounds simple, but it may be the most transformative exercise you can undertake, because complaining doesn't change the world, it changes you, and almost always for the worse. Every time you complain, even silently, your brain interprets the world as hostile. It adapts to that perception, building new neural pathways based on fear, anger, and helplessness. And the more you reinforce those connections, the more they become your default emotional pattern. It's like opening a crack inside you with every bitter word. Slowly, imperceptibly, the structure that holds you together begins to crumble. Neuroscience calls this negative plasticity, the brain shaping itself to the habit of complaint. But the Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago. They said every thought is either a tool for construction or destruction, and language is the soul's most powerful instrument. It builds or contaminates the space in which you live. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If the food is bitter, don't eat it." And he added in his writings, "Don't be the listener of others' complaints. nor the echo of your own laments. Because the problem with complaining isn't the sound, it's the energy. It doesn't vanish after you speak. It lingers inside you, like smoke poisoning your air, corrupting your thoughts, your body, and even the way you see life. Over time, the world stops being what it is and starts reflecting only what you repeat. It's as if your brain learned to view reality through the lens of scarcity. So try this practice. Choose an object, a coin in your pocket, a ring, a watch, and every time you catch yourself complaining, move it from one hand to the other. At first, it will seem silly, but soon you'll realize how addicted your mind is to negativity and how much vital energy that habit drains. This exercise transforms the invisible into the tangible. You start to feel the weight of every word, and you understand complaining is like blowing ashes onto your own fire. The flame dies, and life loses its glow. Life obeys invisible laws, and one of them is the law of compensation. Everything you send out returns to you in some form, creating a natural balance in the universe. Whoever complains attracts more reasons to complain. Whoever gives thanks attracts more reasons to be grateful. The vibration you emit is the invitation the universe accepts. Complaint is noise. Gratitude is harmony. And when you change your frequency, everything around you begins to realign. So try it. One day without complaint, just observing, accepting, acting with calm. Change. Why did this happen to me? To what is this trying to teach me? Replace judgment with curiosity, complaint with presence. You'll feel silence expanding within you, and along with it, a peace long asleep. Because when you stop feeding the noise, the essential begins to speak again. 3. Learn to forgive. No pain you've ever felt was small. Every wound left real marks, and you don't need to pretend it didn't hurt. But ignoring a wound doesn't make it disappear. It heals only when you choose to face it with awareness. Yet reliving the pain every day is like carrying a burning coal in your hands, believing it will eventually burn the one who hurt you. In the end, it only burns you. And the cruelest part? Over time, the pain no longer comes from the event. It comes from the habit of reliving it. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's liberation. It's not saying everything is fine. It's deciding this won't imprison me anymore. It's renouncing the role of victim, not because the other deserves peace, but because you deserve rest. There are moments we get trapped, waiting for an apology that never comes, hoping the other person will finally understand what they did, acknowledge the mistake, repair the damage. But that, as just as it may seem, is not under our control. And while your mind waits, your heart ages, time passes, and the past keeps pulling you by the ankles, leaving the present forgotten, suffocated. Epictetus called this the dichotomy of control. Some things depend on us, others don't. You cannot control someone else's remorse or their behavior, but you can control what you do with what happened, and that is power. True forgiveness is the deepest form of self-control because it demands mastery over your own pain, not over the other. Until you forgive, you live chained to what already passed. It's like walking with an iron ball tied to your foot, dragging the weight of something the other may not even remember. And worst of all, that chain isn't outside. It's inside, tied to your mind, to your memory, to the emotion that repeats every time you try to move forward. To forgive is to say, I have the key, and from today, I free myself. Because forgiveness doesn't change the past. It changes the weight the past has on you. And when that burden falls, what remains is lightness, clarity, and the freedom to begin again, whole. Think of how many times you've lost the present, waiting for the past to change. How many beautiful experiences have you missed because you were still carrying the pain of something old? Resentment creates a veil between you and life, making you see the present through the colors of what's already gone. And until that shifts, nothing truly new can begin. That feeling becomes a prison with open doors, but you are the one who must walk through. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who wronged you." And that is what forgiveness does. It lifts you above what hurt you, not by erasing the past, but by changing its meaning. It transforms pain into wisdom, loss into strength, and memory into gratitude for what made you grow. Today, look inward and identify your iron balls. Breathe deeply and tell yourself, "I have the key. And from today, I am free." Because forgiveness doesn't change what happened. It changes how it lives inside you. And when that load drops, what's left is not emptiness, it's lightness, clarity, and the freedom to restart, whole. 4. Assume your responsibility. You're not at the mercy of luck. Nothing in your life happens entirely by chance. Everything that reaches you carries a hidden choice, and it's in that choice where your power and your freedom reside. But it's easy to forget. When something goes wrong, the mind rushes to blame. Sometimes fate, sometimes others, sometimes even yourself. We get stuck in the cycle of justification, repeating old stories, searching for excuses that ease the pain, but also distance us from solutions. We stay frozen, hunting for a scapegoat, when what we really need is direction. Because blaming feels comfortable, acting is what transforms, and every transformation demands a price, the abandonment of excuses. Epictetus said, "Blaming others is ignorance, blaming yourself is progress. But the wise man blames no one, he acts." That is the difference between someone who lives in the past and someone who builds the future. Blame weighs you down, action sets you free. Guilt is the burden of someone who observes their life from the outside. Action is the force of someone who decides to return to the center and take command of their own destiny. Assuming responsibility isn't about carrying a heavy load, it's about reclaiming control. It's remembering that, no matter how difficult the circumstances, there is always something that depends solely on you, your attitude, your response, your interpretation, your reaction. Responsibility is the highest act of freedom. It's telling yourself, "I cannot control everything, but I can control what I do with what I have." Many spend their lives waiting for things to change, their partner, their job, their situation. But what truly shifts the course is when you decide to change yourself. When you understand you are not a victim of life, but a student of it, that's when you say, "Enough of reacting, now I act." Stoicism teaches that we don't control what happens, but we control what we do with it. And that awareness is the beginning of true freedom. Responsibility is the ground where inner strength grows, because when you take the helm, even pain finds purpose. Assuming responsibility is like turning on a light in a cluttered room. At first, it's uncomfortable to see what's out of place, but only with light can you organize. Step by step, disorder turns into clarity. That light is consciousness, and the more you turn it on, the more you realize. The chaos wasn't the problem. It was an invitation to inner organization, so stop looking for culprits. The past doesn't need more analysis, it needs direction. Your past actions can serve as lessons, but they must not remain prisons. What matters now is your next move, your next conscious gesture. Because life doesn't start again when everything is resolved. It restarts when you decide to act, even amid confusion. Take ownership of your emotions, your time, your decisions, not out of obligation, but out of self-love. Because loving yourself means refusing to outsource your happiness. No one will live this life for you. No one will heal what only you can face. No one will choose the path of clarity for you. So write in the comments, "Today I choose to act instead of blame." Because the instant you replace guilt with action, the weight turns into purpose. and what once was chaos begins to transform into destiny. 5. Leave nothing unfinished. Nothing broken, nothing out of place, nothing unresolved, in your outer world or your inner life. Harmony begins when what's outside reflects what's inside, and what's inside finally finds peace. The Stoics taught that living well means living with total attention to the present. Marcus Aurelius said, "In every act, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this with my soul?" That is the essence of order, being whole in every gesture, aware in every choice, committed to the present, as if each action were an offering to your own life. Order isn't rigidity, it's self-respect. It's the quiet care of someone who understands that whatever is neglected will eventually demand payment. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Life begins to align when you refuse to leave loose ends, when you decide not to push off until tomorrow what already weighs on you today, when you stop disguising what needs to be faced and stop hiding what needs to be healed. It's in that moment that maturity is born, when you understand that every unfinished matter, emotional or material, is a door blocking your forward movement. Look around you. Everything disordered outside is a mirror of the chaos that went unspoken within. An untidy closet, a promise forgotten, a conversation postponed. These are tiny cracks, but through them your energy leaks away, and the more you delay, the heavier the air becomes, the further lightness seems. But every time you clean, organize, or finish something, a piece of your internal chaos calms. External order restores internal power, because order isn't just aesthetic, it's energy, it's spiritual alignment, it's the reflection of a mind that has decided to take command. The simple act of putting something in its place is a symbol of rebirth. It's your silent way of saying, I still matter to myself. Start with the details, close cycles, fix what's broken, forgive what's been suspended, replace forgetfulness with presence, replace haste with intention, replace neglect with awareness, and above all, remain present in every moment. Because full awareness turns even the simplest gesture into a spiritual practice. Order is a kind of wordless prayer. Every coherent action is an affirmation of faith in your own path. The Stoics knew that an orderly life is a peaceful mind, and whoever masters their external space also masters their thoughts. When your thoughts are clear, your soul expands. So today, ask yourself, what in my life is calling to be restored? Go. Begin. One gesture, one object, one decision. Each adjustment is a way of telling the universe, I am ready for the new. Write in the comments, today I choose to put my life in order, because when nothing is left undone, neither outside nor within, everything begins to flow, and life rewards those who are prepared. Being prepared means leaving nothing incomplete in your environment, in your heart, in your commitments. 6. Believe in your worth. Doubt is one of the quietest forms of self-sabotage. It disguises itself as prudence, humility, or I'm not ready yet. But beneath it all, it's simply fear. Fear of being who you are. Fear of acknowledging your own strength. Fear of no longer hiding behind fragility. It's easy to admire others, almost automatic to believe in their achievements, their words, their talents. But when your own intuition speaks, you doubt, question, rationalize, postpone, as if you needed invisible permission to live what your heart has already chosen. When life calls you to take a bolder step, you hesitate. When something inside says this is the way, your mind rushes to silence it. And without realizing it, you drift further from yourself. You follow advice that makes no sense. You seek approval in empty places. You dim your own light to fit into others' expectations. And the cost is high. Each time you doubt yourself, a piece of your confidence fractures. Your soul gets used to asking permission to exist, and the fire that once burned bright begins to survive on mere sparks. But the truth is both simple and harsh. Whoever doesn't believe in themselves ends up serving others' beliefs. And worst of all, they start seeing their own life through the eyes of people who never had the courage to change theirs. The Stoics knew this. They taught that the wise man listens to his own reason, not the chorus of external voices. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. The source of good is there." That is one of the greatest truths ever written. Because as long as you don't recognize your own value, you'll keep searching outside for what exists only within. Believing in yourself is an act of courage. It's looking in the mirror and choosing to stop focusing on what's missing, and finally seeing what overflows: strength, potential, history, resilience. It's no longer being a reflection of others' expectations, but becoming a reflection of your own truth. This isn't ego, it's awareness. It's remembering that you alone are responsible for validating your life. Even Jesus was rejected in his hometown. People saw him grow up and said, "He's just the carpenter's son." And because there was no faith there, he performed few miracles, not from lack of power, but from lack of belief. The same applies to you. As long as you doubt, your gifts remain dormant. But the instant you believe, the impossible awakens. Creativity returns, energy revives. The path, once invisible, begins to open before your eyes. The universe responds to the frequency of your self-confidence. When you believe, life starts testing you with new opportunities, not obstacles, because it senses you're ready to carry what you couldn't before. So stop waiting for the world to give you value. Value isn't received, it's claimed. Believe in yourself until the world has no choice but to believe too. Write in the comments, "I believe in myself," even when no one else does. Because that's what changes everything, the strength to keep believing, even when doubting seems easier, even when the silence outside tries to drown the voice shouting within. And in that moment you become your own anchor, where fear bows, doubt dissolves, and life finally begins to reflect your worth. 7. Cultivate mental equilibrium. When you decide to put your life in order, chaos doesn't vanish. It fights back. It's like cleaning a dusty house. As you sweep, the dust rises, the air clouds over, and for a moment it seems everything has gotten worse. But it's only the process of cleaning, disorder screaming before it leaves. And it's in that exact moment, when everything stirs, that mental equilibrium becomes your greatest strength. Without it, you return to where you started. With it, you pass through any storm. The Stoics called this ataraxia, the state of a mind that remains tranquil, even amidst turmoil. But equilibrium doesn't appear overnight. It's built daily, through self-mastery, conscious pauses, and the choice to maintain clarity when everything around you loses control. It's an emotional maturity training, holding back impulse, breathing before reacting, and knowing that lucidity always follows silence. This isn't coldness, it's presence. It's the ability to see facts as they are, without dramatization, without escape, without inflating the size of the problem. It's acting at the level of reality, not at the level of fear. Mental equilibrium is the bridge between impulse and wisdom. It's the difference between exploding and understanding, between reacting and responding, between repeating old mistakes and creating new solutions. It doesn't eliminate chaos, but it teaches you to walk across it with firmness. Equilibrium doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop drowning in what you feel. It's looking at the challenge and saying, "This is hard, but it's possible." It's accepting that not everything can be controlled, but everything can be met with serenity. It's maintaining your center when everything tries to knock you off balance. Think of a lake. When the water is agitated, the reflection distorts. But when it's still, everything appears clearly. The mind is that lake. The more turbulent it is, the more confused your vision becomes. But when you learn to calm the waters, life shows itself as it truly is, without distortion, without excess. Equilibrium is the invisible shield of the strong. It protects you from yourself, from desperation, from haste. It keeps you whole when everything tries to fragment you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The power to live well lies in keeping the soul serene, even among the noise." And that's exactly it. Equilibrium isn't the end of the storm, it's the calm during the storm. When you are at peace, the world loses its power to destabilize you. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop fleeing and start facing. And almost magically, chaos loses its force. Because chaos only survives in unbalanced minds. So every time you feel everything slipping away, pause, breathe, and remember. The dust only rises for a short time, then the air clears, fresher than before. Write in the comments, "I choose to keep my mind in balance." Because when you master your inner center, nothing outside can pull you from your axis. And in that state of calm, you discover, equilibrium isn't the destination, it's the path. It's the silent strength that sustains your evolution, even when the world tries to drag you back into chaos. 8. Decide who you want to be. There comes a moment when you must stop explaining yourself and start defining yourself. Life doesn't pause for those who still doubt. Either you decide who you want to be, or you remain the product of everyone else's choices except your own. The Stoics lived this truth. They didn't wait for the world to accept them. They acted as the person they chose to become. They understood that identity isn't given, it's forged. Every decision, every boundary, every no spoken is a hammer strike on the anvil of your character. So ask yourself, if I stop seeking approval, if I stop negotiating with my fears, who would I be? Don't answer with who you think you should be. Answer with who you want to be. Not the version shaped by compromise, but the one built on integrity, courage, and truth. And once you define that ideal, live as that person, starting today. Don't wait for conditions to be perfect. Start behaving like the person you're becoming. Because the world doesn't respond to promises. It responds to consistency. Your actions reveal your values, not your intentions. So write in the comments, "Today, I choose who I want to be." Because when you stop being a reaction to the world and start being a commitment to yourself, your life gains momentum. And that momentum is unstoppable. 9. Let go of what no longer serves you. The past is not a museum, it's a teacher. But if you treat it as a home, you'll never leave. Holding on to old pain, outdated habits, or relationships that drain you doesn't honor your history, it traps you in it. The Stoics didn't cling to the past, they honored it, learned from it, and moved on. Seneca said, "No evil is eternal unless we make it so." And that's the key. Pain, resentment, regret. These aren't obligations. They're burdens you can set down. You don't need to carry them to prove you were hurt. You don't need to wear them like medals of suffering. What you need is to release them, not with shame, but with dignity, because every second spent clinging to the past is a second stolen from your future. And that future, the one where you're lighter, wiser, freer, is waiting for you to drop the weight. So today, let go of one thing that no longer serves you, a grudge, a limiting belief, a toxic relationship, an outdated goal, and with that release, say, "I am not defined by what I've left behind, I am shaped by what I choose to carry forward." Because growth isn't about having more, it's about becoming more intentional with what you allow in. 10. Speak only what builds. Language is a tool, and like any tool, it can build or destroy. The Stoics measured their words carefully. They spoke only when necessary, and only what strengthened, clarified, or uplifted. Imagine your speech as a garden. You can plant seeds of love, encouragement, and wisdom, and harvest connection, trust, and peace. Or you can scatter thorns of sarcasm, gossip, and criticism, and reap isolation, regret, and conflict. Every word is a seed. Ask yourself, Will this grow something good or something painful? Marcus Aurelius advised, "Speak only what is necessary and in the most direct way, because unnecessary words steal energy. Gossip steals trust. Judgment steals peace. And when you fill your mouth with what harms, you starve your soul of what heals. So commit to this. Before you speak, ask, is it true? Is it kind? Does it serve the situation? If not, stay silent. Your silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom, and wisdom is far more powerful than noise." 11. Choose peace over being right. There's a strange irony in human nature. We fight so hard to win arguments, to be proven correct, but lose our peace in the process. Victory tastes hollow when it costs your serenity. The Stoics didn't chase correctness, they chased virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. They understood that winning an argument rarely changes a mind, but losing your calm ruins your day. So today, practice this. Let go of the need to be right. When you feel the urge to correct someone, pause. Ask yourself, is it worth sacrificing my peace for this? Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is say nothing and walk away with your dignity intact. Other times, it's to listen, not to win, but to understand. But whatever you do, protect your inner peace above all. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best defense is not retaliation, but goodness." And that is the deeper victory, proving you're secure enough to let go. So write in the comments, "Today, I choose peace, not proof." Because a life guided by serenity is stronger than one driven by the need to win. 12. Create a morning ritual. Your morning sets the tone for your entire day. Most people rush straight into the noise, checking phones, emails, messages, and surrender their mind before they've even taken control of it. But the Stoics began differently. Marcus Aurelius would wake early and write, not to plan tasks, but to strengthen his mind. He'd reflect on the challenges ahead, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the inevitable injustices, and prepare himself not to be shaken. He'd remind himself, "Today, I will meet these things, and I will remain just, calm, and present." You can do the same. Create a morning ritual, 5 minutes that belong only to you. Drink water, breathe deeply. Write one line in a journal. Read a passage that grounds you. Do anything that reminds you, "I am not the world's puppet. I am the author of my day." This ritual isn't wasted time. It's the foundation. It's where you build resistance to chaos before it arrives. It's where you affirm your values, your priorities, your inner authority, and when you start the day grounded, you end it with purpose. So try it today. Build a ritual, small, consistent, sacred. Because the battle for your life is won in the first minutes of the morning. 13. Protect your inner world. Your mind is not public property. It's a sanctuary, and you are its guardian. You wouldn't let strangers throw trash in your home. So why let them pollute your mind? The Stoics guarded their inner world fiercely. They didn't expose their dreams, their doubts, or their struggles to just anyone. Only those who walked beside them with the same clarity earned access. So today, draw a boundary, protect your energy, limit your exposure to negativity, drama, and people who thrive on chaos. You don't need to isolate yourself, but you do need to filter. Choose wisely who enters your circle. Guard what you share, because your inner world is fragile and precious, and only when it's protected can it create something lasting. So write in the comments, "I protect my mind, because it's the birthplace of my life. Because no one can build a temple in a storm, but someone can build a storm-proof shelter." And that's exactly what you're doing.